vote. Councillor Ray.
Sorry, I was just wondering if the report later on, where we're essentially going to approve the whole works of them, is that not? I just wondered if that was taking care of all these motions.
Yes, the report later on will end up covering the topics or the motions recommended by the committee of the whole.
Okay, well, with that, then we'll pass by and we'll see if Mr. Schroeder agrees when he gets back here. No, we're getting a different.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going back to where I was then. Thank you. See how this evening's going to go. We're going to have some curveballs already. Let's go to the motion. So the first one is on page 2 of 9, second page of the report. And this is regarding the community forest. Someone would like to make that motion. Councillor Raven, Councillor Leonard. And this, for those that might be listening, well, are we live streaming yet?
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, then requesting a meeting with the Minister of Forest to advocate for the community forest 10-year expansion. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? And that one's carried. Next, then page 4 of 9. And this is regarding a council request that the Ministry of Health expedite construction of a new hospital, Multi-Valley District Hospital. Councillor Buchanan moves. Seconder, Councillor Leonard. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? And that one is carried. The next is that council request to Minister of Health provide an updated timeline for the long-term care facility. Is there a mover? Councillor Buchanan, Councillor Leonard. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Next is
Sorry,
on
Councillor Raven was opposed.
You were, I'm sorry. Thank you for the catch. Sorry, Ms. McKinley then. So with Councillor Raven opposed. Thanks, Councillor Ray. The next one that council requests Ministry of Health provide safe and accessible patient transportation for rural and northern residents. Councillor Raven moves. Seconder, Councillor Buchanan. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Page 5 and 9. Council remove MOTT topic of funding assistance for the airport slope stabilization project. There's a mover. Councillor Raven. Councillor Elliott, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? And that's carried. Next, that recommendation that council remove the Walrus additional town. I should read them word for word. I'm trying to paraphrase and it's not working. That we remove the Ministry of Water, Land and Resource Stewardship additional town land transfer from the 2026 minister meeting list. Councillor Raven, Councillor Ray, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes with Councillor Buchanan opposed. And Councillor Elliott. Thank you. Okay, next one is that council remove the Ministry of Social Development Poverty Reduction topic of funding for the Youth Foundry. I have a mover, Councillor Buchanan, Councillor Raven. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? And sorry, I just noted, are you okay? Do you have the agenda or has it been lost? I'll give you a minute to catch up. It's okay. We're going through pretty fast and we don't usually have this many motions to deal with. So Mr. Doerr is bringing you the paper copies for now. Okay, so I was in the actual report. Okay. Oh, it's in the minutes. Okay. Can I still listen? Sorry, did you? No problem. You got him? Okay. So we're on page 709 or 31 of 438. And the recommendation is that council approve the UBCM priorities, and they are, I'm not going to read them all. There's Ministry of Health, Ministry of Transportation and Transit, Walrus, Social Development, and Poverty Reduction. The mover, Councillor Raven moves. Thank you. Councillor Elliott, any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? And if anyone is watching, you can access the agenda at smithers.ca just to see all the different priorities that council hopes to bring to UBCM. And final, or not finally, but it is final. The next one is that we advise NCLGA that we will send a joint advocacy letter with Dawson Creek on the NCLGA resolution regarding improved access for publicly funded mental health services. Councillor Ray moves, Councillor Buckham seconds. Discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? And that's carried. And if I haven't missed any, I think that's the end of that piece. Councillor Patterson?
Thank you, Worship. I have a baby in sleep regression, so perhaps I've just completely missed the mark here, but I was confused because I thought later in the report there was a summary of things to Councillor Ray's point that was going to be brought forward, and there was actually things on this list that weren't in that list.
I'm going to speak slowly in case Mr. Schroeder wants to help me. We will still get to that report.
Okay.
So that this doesn't eliminate that report from later in the agenda. I'm just meeting the requirements that are placed in front of us that we accept the motions that are in this report. So I'm just trying to follow that bouncing ball. Okay, I'm seeing nods, but we'll still deal with the report when we get to it. Okay. Okay. And where am I? I think I'm up to council reports. Councillor Buckham.
Thank you, Mayor Attrell. Just a few items. On June 3rd, I attended the Friends of the Library AGM. And it was good that I was there because they spent part of the evening looking at the design for the library that was approved by council. And I was able to answer quite a few of their questions. And to say the Friends of the Library is very excited about the new library that's coming would be an understatement. There's a lot of excitement around the table. Secondly, on behalf of council, I attended the Coast Mountain Convocation on June 5th. There was approximately 30 to 40 graduates, which was considerably more than the year before. The vast majority of the graduates that walked across the stage typically were earning a diploma or certificate in one of two areas, either business or healthcare assistant. And it was actually quite a beautiful ceremony, if I say so. And I also want to acknowledge that during that ceremony, Sheena Miller was presented with a community service award by the college for all the volunteering she does in our community. And I thought that was probably a very well-deserved honor for Sheena. And then today I attended a chamber meeting, and I just shared with the chamber a number of council items that I thought would be of interest. And that's it for my report. Thank you.
Councillor Buckham, any questions? Then Councillor Elliott.
Thank you, Mayor. I had a busy work week, so I'm glad that Councillor Buckham attended the AGM for the Friends of the Library. So I sent my regards to Robbie, saying I wouldn't be able to make it, but I did say that we were excited that the Friends were excited about the library project as well. So really appreciative of their work. And I did also attend Pride celebration on Saturday. Was well attended, lots of booths and lots of hubbub there. So it was really, really good to be there to show my support. And yeah, it was a great day. That's all for me.
Thanks, Councillor Elliott. Councillor Leonard.
I'm going back a bit because I missed the last meeting. May 13th, like everybody else, attended the open house for BC Housing, the new proposed shelter. May 14th, Councillor Buckham, Mr. Dewar and I met with two representatives of the Ministry of Jobs and Economic Growth. It was a pretty good meeting, and hopefully we got our sort of story across that the airport was very important to us and needed to find a way to make it viable for the future and the valley. And on May 20th, I attended the museum AGM. It's always pretty quick and painless, but lots of people come out. It's always nice to see people supporting the museum. I think there's a lot of interested historians in the valley, and it's just really nice to see. That's it.
Thanks, Counselor Leonard. Excuse me. Counselor Patterson.
Thank you, Mayor Atchell. So there are two motions for council's consideration from the minutes of the Fall Fair Management Committee. I can move them separately or answer any questions.
Do we need to approve the minutes first? I was get this part wrong.
These ones are only for information,
okay.
Your Worship.
Okay, back to you. Yep, thank you.
Your worship, would you like me to answer any questions or speak to them or just move them separately or together?
I think we could take questions if there are some, and then we can do the bolded motion. Counselor Ray.
I appreciate I wasn't able to attend. I was just wondering about the motion that's not bolded, where the committee gave permission for the BVIA to deal with the beavers. I'm just wondering why that wasn't direction to council to ask staff to work with the beavers.
Can you just give us a page, please? Counselor Patterson, go ahead.
Thank you, worship. While people are scrolling, I could perhaps just look to staff to verify my recollection of the discussion was that it was an ongoing issue that the town and the BVA have been dealing with for some time. Not unique to the town, but just that the beavers continue to return. And so that discussion was had that they would work together to resolve it.
Mr. Schroeder.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. To the question, staff felt that motion was a little bit more property maintenance and general, ongoing activities that we would normally be doing, and didn't fall outside the scope of, and didn't fall within the scope of the BVA, Fall Fair Management Committee directing staff, and more just, an ongoing operational task.
Thank you.
Counselor Patterson, back to you. Ready?
Thank you very much. So the others are fairly straightforward. So just looking for the ongoing application for a chair at the Fall Fair Management Committee. Patty has put in an exceptional amount of work at the committee, and she had notified us in years past that she was looking to move on. So this year she's let us know that she's serious this time. And the second is, I believe we've talked about it here at this council prior, but this is more about just doing the inventory of the existing assets that the town owns and manages down at the Fall Fairgrounds. But if there's any other questions, happy to answer.
All right, I think we need to deal with those motions, so. Okay, so let's go back to the first one, just that the committee has recommended so that council seek applications at large from the public. So do you want to put that forward? Councillor Patterson moves, seconder, Councillor Ray. Discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? And that's carried. And I guess if there are any ideas, you can approach people or share them so that we work to get a good chair. And the second motion, Councillor Patterson.
So moved.
Okay, and this is to develop the inventory. Councillor Buckham seconds. Discussion. Councillor Ray.
I'm just wondering if we weren't already going to get that through what we'd already previously approved.
All the eyeballs are looking at you now, Mr. Schroeder, so it's your turn.
Thank you very much, Mayor Atchell. Yes, I do believe that we will be receiving this as a part of the engineering report that staff will be generating. We will be receiving the inventory list. The priority list, I think, is a little bit different. This will sort of be something partially supported by staff, partially supported by the engineering report. And the engineering report would just provide, hey, here's some, major deficiencies, and then staff would, look to the monetary side of what we can actually support versus what needs to get done and in what order.
I guess just following on that, then motions on the floor, if it's passed, it doesn't get in the way of the work that you're doing already.
That's correct, Your Worship.
Okay. Then I'm going to call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? And that's carried unanimously. Thank you. I think that's it for that one. And did we get the motion, Ms. McKinley, just to approve? Okay, cool. Then back to you, Councillor Patterson, for the next set. They are for information then. Oh, sorry, I thought there was still one motion in there, but it does say that, but I don't see it, so. Oh, no, I'm on the next one. I'm looking at the accessibility one, sorry. Okay, so if there's questions for Councillor Patterson, we'll do that now, and otherwise we'll move on. It's getting clunkier and clunkier. Thanks, Councillor Patterson. And Councillor Raven.
So there is one bolded motion from the Accessibility Committee meeting. I was not actually at this particular meeting, but the motion is that the Accessibility Advisory Committee recommend to council that the town of Smithers incorporate the feedback received at the May 21st, 2026 Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting into the Smithers Accessibility Plan Update Project.
Are you making the motion? Okay, so it'll just start from council. Is there a seconder? Councillor Ray seconds. Discussion. Councillor Ray.
So I attended that meeting in Councillor Raven's stead. So it was the start of the process that we'll come across a little later, where the first part of the updating the plan was to consult with the committee, and then that was the staff's recommendation. That this motion was the staff's recommendation from that meeting. So
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? And that's carried unanimously. Councillor Raven.
All right, so I actually submitted a written report. I'm getting there. So there was the Seniors Advocate Town Hall. What I really appreciated about that event was just not even just the people that showed up, but the way that the format was story oriented. So people could come up and just share their story. So it made it really accessible and was able to give the Seniors Advocate a really good view of what we're dealing with here in our community, and just kind of the concerns that our seniors had. I do have to say thank you to Cormac from Northern Health. He was there, so he was actually able to answer a lot of the questions that the seniors had. So it was actually very beneficial. There was the Whitsett Career Fair that had multiple Smithers employers. Also, we had Town of Smithers staff there. Then there was the Tears to Hope relay, and that was a really good relay. So it starts in Smithers, goes all the way to Terrace, raising awareness for missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. And then the annual fundraiser and the Men's Shed Barbecue, and chatting with that group. It's really cool to see how they have grown over the last few years. So they are actually like full on for their projects. When they first started, they were kind of like really reaching out to have to find things to work on. And now they actually have a wait list. So that was really cool to see.
Thanks, Councillor Raven. Councillor Ray.
nothing to report, Your Worship.
Thanks, Councillor Ray. And I did not get to a written report. I've been gone a chunk since the last meeting, and the major thing I attended was the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. I think what I took from it this time, and for councillors who haven't had the opportunity to attend, I would encourage you to consider it. Probably my favorite piece of FCM is sitting, I described it to Councillor Buckham as sitting at the tables with councillors or mayors or reeves or chairs from across the country, and recognizing what we're working on that's similar, that everyone has a water project, has a sewer project, has a homelessness issue, has a budget issue, and you get to sort of share ideas, and it gives a sense of the national scope that is actually in this day and age, something that I think is incredibly beneficial to recognize that the local government officials that show up, and my understanding is that between delegates and those at the trade show and staff, there were 4,600 people at this year's FCM, so it was really well attended. And you get to find the commonality and recognize that what seems so outrageous and so unsolvable in your community is being dealt with across the country. So that's one piece that I took advantage of, was making sure I could sit with different people at those breakfast and lunch tables. The national leaders at one level or another attended. This year, it was Dominic LeBlanc speaking on behalf of the Prime Minister, who of course addressed issues of international trade and tariffs and tried to address questions. It was a chat type of presentation where the president of FCM was able to ask questions on what was the federal government doing, on a national level, but with local governments in mind. And then there were representatives from the federal Conservatives, the New Democrats, and the showstopper for anyone who's been at FCM always knows that the leader of the Green Party, I would say this year, it was quite extraordinary. She's the only person who received a standing ovation, carte blanche. So she speaks from the heart and gets people energized, thinking about community and again, connecting it to local government. The final presentation, and I shared it with Ms. McKinley and Mr. Dewar, was from the founder of Shorefast and the Fogo Island Inn, talking about how one builds community, connecting people and culture and nature, and having economy support that. That placemaking is where community strength comes from. And it was, I was in a room with many, many hundreds of people, and you could feel the energy rise in the room because of course, everyone in the room cared about their community. So it was the grand finale, the final keynote, and people left that session very pumped. So I think FCM offers some great opportunities for thinking about how we do things better. And also you get some connections from across the countries. When you get stuck, you can reach out and see how someone might solve it in Nunavut or Newfoundland or Quebec. So it felt like a very positive session, despite the fact of the problems. And if you read the agenda, you would see the topics that you recognize in terms of challenge from mental health and housing and funding. So that really has where most of my time has been since the last council. And I'll leave it there. And we're up to the staff reports. First one from Ms. McKinley and the UBCM minister meeting requests. So we can do this in a number of ways. How would you like to do it, Councillor Bukuma?
Oh, I was just going to say I'm willing to move the recommendation in 14.1.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Ray seconds. Okay, so they're all moved as presented. Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a question around as presented. In the recommendation, it says with the exclusion of topic 3, Attorney General in brackets. And I was just curious, the third topic or number 3 is Ministry of Emergency Management and Climate Readiness. So just making sure I didn't misinterpret that.
Mr. Schroeder, thank you.
Apologies. Thank you very much, Mayor. That would be a reference to a previous report in which topic 3 was the Ministry of the Attorney General, and that was the reference to budget enhancements to the Crown Prosecutor's Office. We'd interpreted from the discussion during the May 19th Committee of the Whole that Council wished to have that dropped. Council could choose to drop the words topic 3 and just say with the exclusion of the Attorney General topic for submission to the provincial government by June 24th, 2026.
Thanks, Mr. Schroeder. That makes sense? Do you want to move the amendment?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so Ms. McKinley, you're okay? It would be to remove those words of topic 3. Is there a seconder? Councillor Raven? Discussion only on the amendment? Just on the amendment? I'm not seeing anything. So all in favor of the amendment? Any opposed? That's carried. Councillor Ray.
No, I was just rereading the, and I think it might be complicated to just add it back in again, but just looking at the email in attachment 2, where the RCMP is now making it difficult on people that are, well, to to paraphrase, they're making it difficult on witnesses and sending some of the stuff back to Prince George because they're not allowing prisoners to spend the night in city cells, which I'm assuming is Smithers, before their trial. I want to make sure that we follow up and that our prisoner expenses go down then, because we've been charged for that for years, and I would expect we never get an answer. But now that I see that they're not doing that anymore, our prisoner expenses should go way down.
Thanks, Councillor Ray. I think that's part of why it's happening. There has been, I've had some conversation with our detachment commander. But it can be a follow-up. If you wanted to follow up, let's just deal with this. And then I guess we voted on the main motion. So if you want a separate follow-up, let's just do that by. Oh, we've only done the amendment? Okay. Let's deal with what's here. If that works. I see you wanted to say something though.
I don't have any desire to complicate it by adding the meeting back in, so I'm okay. I just wanted to point out that.
Okay. Anything else? I think is it moved even? I am losing the bouncing ball in it. Okay, so. Okay, I thought we had an original mover, but.
Yeah. So the
So
main
the-
motion is on the
the main
floor as
motion's on-
amended.
Okay, that's where we're at. All in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Okay, see how I do on the next one. Counselor Patterson.
Thank you, Worship. Similar to the lines of Deputy Mayor Ray's comment around the email. So I'm assuming it's appropriate to talk about it now. 14.1 from Jennifer Johnson, the Vice President from the BC Crown Council Association. She does say that she is happy to discuss this or other issues facing Smithers with you. I just wanted to say I would really be interested in inviting her as a delegate just to hear more information.
Okay. If we don't want to lose it, I just suggest you move it as a motion.
So moved.
You're good, Ms. McKinley? Is there a seconder? Okay. I'm going to move on. Anything else relating to this report? Okay. Where am I? 14.2 from Ms. LeBlanc, the BC Transit Annual Operating Agreement with a two-part recommendation. Councillor Raven moves both. Is there a seconder? Councillor Elliott. Questions? Councillor Leonard and Councillor Ray, your mic's still on. Councillor Leonard.
I think I brought this up last year. Just curious, and I think I was actually reading through it, where the 77% comes from. And I think that was just maybe an original funding formula. And I can appreciate renewing because that's the way we've always done it. But I guess I'll just say this as a thought to staff. Next time it comes up, it might be wise to maybe dive into why we're paying the lion's share. And it could be population based. I don't really know unless you do know. I'd be interested in knowing how we come up with that percentage.
Yes, thanks for raising that. I do know that there is some formula behind it. I won't speak to it right now with a bit of uncertainty behind me. But what we can do is follow up with council via email if that's suitable for the time being. Okay.
Councillor Ray may have some memory of this too. I mean, we have talked since I've been at council as how we do the cost sharing, and at different eras, there have been suggestions of trying to change those percentages or the way the cost sharing happens. And it was presented to council when I was first on council that part of it is as a sort of a benefiting community of the people who come here. There's a reason why we might be expected to pay more. And that did carry the table when there was more fervent desire to reduce that amount. And I think that's something I support as well, that people are able to come to this town for services and for work, and they spend a lot of money here when they're coming in to buy their groceries, et cetera. So it's a part of it, be an anecdotal memory, but Council Leonard.
Appreciate that. And I'm not, I'm not opposed to the agreement at all. I'm just a numbers person, so curious about where that's coming from. And I think it would help us all make more informed decisions if we sort of understood the logic behind it. And I agree with you. I think there's a sort of unmeasurable benefit to bringing them into town. So.
Thanks, Councillor Leonard. Councillor Ray.
Just wanted to point out that the latest one that was added, Whitsett, is a 50-50 between the town of Smithers and Whitsett. So kudos to Whitsett for recognizing the value of being able to bring people into town and back to Whitsett as well. And I don't think, I can't actually remember, there's been a lot of discussion. The village of Telkwa has always had concerns about their taxpayers' ability to contribute. Which may, as the population growth in area A, not so much, but in Telkwa outstrips the population growth in Smithers, I think it might be worth revisiting eventually.
Thanks, Councillor Ray. Okay, ready? All in favor? Any opposed? And that's carried unanimously. And 14.3 from Ms. Goodrick, letter of support for BBAIA in an application to NEI. Councillor Ray moves. Seconder, Councillor Buikema. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? And that's carried. 14.4 from Mr. Shibley on a hydrant and a grant application. Councillor Patterson, are you moving? Okay, is there a seconder? Councillor Raven? Any discussion or questions? All in favor? Any opposed? And that's carried. That's a nice add-on. And 14.5 from Mr. Smith, form and character application for 1290 King Street with a recommendation. I'll put on the floor. Councillor Patterson moves. Councillor Raven seconds. Comments or questions? Mr. Allen.
Thank you, Mayor Atchell. I just noticed one little typo in the second recommendation B, condition B. It should refer to condition A instead of condition B.
If it's acceptable with Mr. Schroeder, if the mover and seconder agree, can we just change that? Okay. Mover and seconder, you're good? Councillor
Thank you.
Patterson, you're okay? Okay. So let's just accept that modification and the motion is on the floor. Other questions or comments? Councillor Ray.
Just with the lighting plan, just want to make sure, and I'm sure it probably is, but just the residential neighbors, whether the lighting will be downcast so that it's not going into their yard. Is that correct?
Mr. Allen.
Yes, that is a requirement for any exterior lighting that it is downcast. It's also not just for the neighbors, but also for the adjacent streets to prevent any light pollution from obstructing drivers.
And then just one other thing I thought I'd mention, because it did come up at the Accessibility Advisory Committee. And I know for this project, it's in the guideline, form and character guidelines, but it has been mentioned a few times that the brick sidewalks are difficult for some people with vision impairment, and eventually, once they're not flat anymore, people with balance issues. So I just wanted to point that out. I don't think it's something we should change tonight, but it might be something that comes through the accessibility plan.
Thanks, Councillor Ray. Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Worship. Just about the parking, I just want to say I reflect probably an unhealthy amount on the impacts between businesses and residential dwellings and parking, just because I am somebody who is impacted by that, and just the increased volume and traffic when you live next to something like that and how it can sort of impact the entire neighborhood. So something that we had talked about previously around parking is perhaps it's a broader conversation that we need to have, but I'm sort of starting to shift my thinking a little bit and saying, well, perhaps we might just encourage our bylaw enforcement to do just that. And if we start to see more and more impacts within residential areas, perhaps through increased levels of service, perhaps we just increase our rotation of bylaw enforcement specific to parking. Interestingly enough, I do hear from our business community where I didn't recognize there's a number of parking units. I don't know how you would describe it, lots within the downtown that they actually own. I didn't realize that. And I've had a number of complaints from them as well about other businesses using those. So I just started to think about perhaps there's an opportunity for us to raise that with bylaw enforcement. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Patterson. Anyone else? The thing I'm going to raise is just the, there is one neighbor there directly behind. And when I look at the design, from the street, from whatever street that is, King Street, there's, sort of the aesthetic designs are there. And if I'm reading the drawing right, from the neighbor, the residential neighbor, they're staring at that big blank wall. If I have the alignment right. And I just wonder if there is anything in the process that encourages someone to talk to their neighbors and consider the impact, the visual impact on a neighbor, from either how the building is located in the property or what aesthetic, addition might be added so that the resident next door has just a little bit better experience. So that, I don't know if, is that a part of the process at all, Mr. Allen?
Thank you, Mayor Etchell. The way the design guidelines are worded is it's addressing expansive walls without any breakup in the facade or colors even. And it does speak to when viewed from the street, not necessarily viewed by a neighboring property, like a neighboring residential property. But I think quite often, and I believe that's the case here also, that there will be fencing on the property line added to this development. So the fencing typically does take away from that expansive wall, but there are cases where, it does meet the design guidelines.
Yeah, I think if I could amend those guidelines right now where something is in front of a resident, and it's a big expanse, that it's something worth considering in the future, or some change to those guidelines or some consult, and it may well have happened, I don't know, some consult with just impact, because now you've got a resident right in front of the commercial building. And I remember the day that we rezoned that this was pointed out as a potential concern, and it's could have been a much more stark building, but it will definitely, change a neighborhood where you have a residential neighbor versus a commercial neighbor, and where this building design was used previously, similar design on Third Avenue, the front and the back facades were similar. So the back neighbors would have had a different experience than the neighbor will have here. So if it fits the guidelines, there's really nothing I can do about that. But I think if there's a way to feedback to the designer, if there's some consideration that can be given to the fact that it's a residential neighbor versus a commercial neighbor, some breakup of that long facade would probably be very appreciated. Okay. Councillor Ray.
Just two things. I mean, my neighbor looks, and fortunately they don't have windows on that side, but my neighbors would be looking at an entirely white wall on the side of my building. So just because it's commercial doesn't really mean it could have been a residential as well. But the thing that I did want to know, and I don't know if it was done on purpose, but with the parking lot at the back, there's still some viewscape of Hudson Bay Mountain. So, I think if I had to choose, I'd take the mountain and take the L on the side of the building.
Thanks, Councillor Ray. All right. It's on the floor. I don't see any other hands. All in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Um, 14.6 from Ms. Timler on the LG CAP funding support letter with a recommendation. Councillor Patterson moves, Councillor Raven seconds. Discussion. Councillor Ray.
I just wanted to maybe highlight the second part. So we are going to be going about this, but I hadn't considered the budget consultation, and perhaps that might also be a time to mention the lack of support for emergency social services as well. I don't know if that needs to go as further instruction to staff, but or maybe we could individually make that concern, but it's a good point that, you know, when they're cutting things, when the budget consultation comes up is our opportunity to really say something. So I appreciate the second recommendation for sure.
Thanks, Counselor Ray. All in favor? Any opposed? And that's carried. Counselor Ray?
Sorry, rather than mumble something, I will move that council direct staff to submit written input to the provincial 2027 budget consultation page regarding the ESS funding changes.
Seconder, Counselor Patterson. Any further discussion? One question, because I have been asked to go to the committee next week on behalf of the regional district, and I just don't remember if we normally talk about it at all at council, like it's just as a heads up that this is coming when the finance committee is coming. That might be a thing if we catch it, to just give council the prompt, and there, you know, I'm sure there'll be things that are on staff's plate too, just so we think about it in time to apply, to speak if we want to. Okay. Otherwise, all in favor? Any opposed? And that's carried. You good with that, Ms. McKinley? Okay. Thanks for the nod there, Mr. Dewar. And now 14.7 from Mr. Welsh with the Sophie report. Councillor Bucama, Councillor Patterson. Any discussion? Seeing none. Thanks for the work, Mr. Welsh. All in favor? Any opposed? And that's carried. Okay, 15, staff report from Ms. Smith on the proposed council procedure bylaw. Recommendation, Councillor Patterson moves. Seconder. We don't have to second this. What am I doing? I am having an evening, aren't I? Getting motions where I don't need them, no motions where we do need them. Councillor Ray.
Oh, I actually just wanted to provide feedback and just say that it looks like that there'll be some positive changes, and just through the staff, is this going to go the standardization? Is it going to kind of go to council moving to having everything on electronically, so we're all on the same page when, you know, when we have a report and some people have paper, or like right now, there's been talk of next term having council have town-owned electronics. Is that going to be the move that goes with that?
Mr. Schroeder.
Thank you very much. And to the question, yes, that is the intention. We are currently working through a council remuneration review as well that, you know, is considering some of these factors about how other communities deal with technology and some of the pieces that go into that as well. But certainly this is that is a prime target of what we are intending to do: review the way that technology is provided to mayor and council and ensure that you have an appropriate, so higher level of support, and also you know, look to support council in moving to the best of our ability to more of a digital format, so that we don't have some of the awkwardness that we've run into in you know, previous you know, discussions at the council table. However, you know, we certainly understand that, you know, every councillor is different and has a different level of comfort with technology. So certainly we do want to make sure that we're supporting every councillor, you know, in the way that they wish to be supported.
Thanks, Mr. Schroeder. Councillor Ray.
Yeah, and then if I may, interested to see, you know, given some of the things that have happened recently, that there will be some changes to the public comment period. But just want to make sure that we do value the input of the public. And I actually didn't know that the mayor had the chair had the opportunity to actually cut them off if everybody gets up and says the same thing. So that's good to know, actually, and maybe good to remind next mayor and council that we don't have to sit here and listen to the same thing over and over again, because we want to hear from the public, but we want to hear varying opinions as well.
Thanks, Councillor Ray. I guess one thing that may impact this will be the coming provincial code of conduct that has some reference to authority as well. Some changing authority for mayors if it passes. So but deal with that when the time comes. Lesser authorities, because we have a lot of authority now, just saying. Councillor Ray.
Sorry, one thing I forgot to ask isn't really in the report. If we're using more modules in iCompass, will there be a cost to that? And it's not, I'm pretty sure it'll be offset by staff time, but I was just wondering if that will be an additional budget ask in the next budget.
Mr. Schroeder.
Thank you very much. I am very pleased to say no. There will be no additional cost to the town of Smithers. Certainly, there will be some of the supporting costs through iCompass that were required to build the component to our specifications, but largely it is it is captured within the cost that we already paid.
Thanks, Mr. Schroeder. Any other questions or comments? Okay. 15.2, and we have the report from Mr. Muscat on the Give Them Wings event. Mr. Muscat, did you want to say anything about it?
Thank you, Mayor Attrell. Yes, I just wanted to say that on behalf of the airport and on behalf of my spouse, who also founded the Give Them Wings initiative, it's our honor and privilege to bring it to the Smithers Airport this year. I've seen firsthand the impact that this event has had on Indigenous youth. And so I'm very pleased to be involved in reconciliation in a small but meaningful way. And then I want to say thank you to our generous sponsors and supporters of the event. And lastly, my ask would be for mayor and council to all go home and do a sunshine dance for that day's weather. We're hoping for sunny weather so that we can take folks up for flights. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Muscat. Did I mention how much authority we have at this table? We'll try. Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Mayor Attrell. That's so wonderful that you're supposed to put that on. I just wanted to say this is one of the most heartwarming things that I think has come across the desk, at least for me, in the last almost 4 years. So thanks for bringing that, and please pass on our thanks to her. That's wonderful.
Thanks, Councillor Patterson. Councillor Raven.
Yeah, so I think it's just a great way to highlight our airport and also the possibility for youth. Anything we can do to get youth out makes me happy. I'm curious if we have a plan for the town to do some media around this as well, just showing our partnership with that.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? All right, thanks for the information, Mr. Muscat. 15.3 from Ms. Chandran on the accessibility plan update. Any comments or questions for staff? Seeing none, and then 15.4, the April municipal markers. Not seeing hands, so thanks for the work. Then next up is bylaws. So we have bylaw 2006 for adoption. Councillor Patterson moves, Councillor Raven seconds. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed, and that's carried. And we have 17.1, just request for support, sort of advising us what's going on, and offer if we wanted to offer some support for National Indigenous Peoples Day. Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Mayor Attrell. Just a question through to staff, perhaps. I don't know if it's Director Welsh. Do we have any kind of funding? I cannot remember. We talked about, I'm never going to remember the name, so I'm just going to let you speak. I'm going to stop talking.
Mr. Welsh.
Through the chair to Councillor Patterson, if we wanted to fund something like this, it would come through the council contingency fund. There's $3,000 budgeted and nothing has been spent so far this year.
Second question, if I may, through to staff to make sure I don't mess this up. because I don't want to set a nominal value to something that I don't necessarily know, like how much it could be to support something like this. I know the province has historically put something on. But do you have any advice on if we wanted to provide some sort of support, like financial support to the day itself, how one might go about doing that in an appropriate way without setting a number?
I'm just going to jump in, Mr. Welsh. It would really be up to us. And if you think it's appropriate, you make the motion, council will speak to it, and we'll see where it goes. I mean, and while you're thinking, if you want, we could let it go around the table. You can think about the amount or the motion you want to make. Is there any other comments from council? Councilor Ray?
One question through the staff. Does staff support this in any way? I can't remember.
Mr. Dewar?
So when we received this request, what we identified is we bring it to council. We've looked at opportunities for us to support it through non-financial means. And so that's one that we would be reaching out to the organizers and seeing if there's any ways that we can support through non-financial means at a staff level as well.
So yeah, and then my comment basically is that this is essentially what would have used to been a grant and aid request. And we've done away with those. We have done a couple things in the past that are now operationalized, which is why we were able to cut council contingency. We used to spend $500 every year for sound for Veterans Day. Now it's just operationalized, sent the money that way instead. So it wouldn't be unheard of, but I just, we've avoided doing it in the past to avoid staff and council being inundated with asks and to know now that we don't even have a budget for it for grant and aid. So
Thanks, Councilor Ray. Councilor Leonard, then Councilor Raven.
Yeah, I was just gonna follow up on Councilor Ray's points, because in my tenure, that's how I remember. I think we've kind of not allowed sort of requests for money in terms of donation, because it will open the floodgates per se. I'm happy to support, and I think we have made exceptions, like the 100th birthday we did last year. I forget what we did there, but you know, if there is some other way to support the event, I'm certainly all for it. But I don't know that we should just start giving cash out.
Thanks, Councilor Leonard. Councilor Raven.
So I know that so far we haven't supported any or to my knowledge, we haven't supported many events with financial contributions, and I'm going to hold that line. Part of that is because if you start supporting one event, then it's going to be Pride, then it's going to be Fall Fair Parade, then it's going to be Earth Day. Like, we have so many incredible events. I do know that the Friendship Center, I do attend a lot of their events. They do get strong sponsorship from businesses within the community. The other thing that I'll also say is that there's also usually opportunity for people to put their hand up to volunteer. I volunteered at the community dinner for the last 5 years and helped serve. So I think there's lots of ways that we can contribute without putting a financial price tag on it. And just looping back to the 100th anniversary, I think that was more of a one-off because it was such a big deal, where this is an annual event. And I think if we support it 1 year, then there would be an expectation that every successive year it would be supported.
Thanks, Councilor Raven. Councilor Ray.
just to point out that it is Dear Manager and it's not an actual specific ask of the town. It's probably a blanketed letter, which makes sense when you're trying to fundraise. So, and again, it's no reflection on the celebration. There's a lot of great celebrations in town. So,
thanks, Councilor Ray. Councilor Patterson.
Thank you, Your Worship. And I just want to make a note before I make this motion. The Dislocant Friendship Center does a significant amount for this community, and actually the town of Smithers itself, we make a significant number of requests to them. So with that, I'd like to move the council direct staff to follow up with the Dislocant Friendship Center to determine what non-nominal donations, could be made by the town of Smithers to support National Indigenous Peoples Day. Thank you.
Ms. McKinley, did you get it? Is there a seconder? Okay, there isn't a seconder. Sorry, Councilor Patterson. Okay, good discussion though. And what I heard at the beginning is staff is reaching out to the Friendship Center to see if there's other ways to support. And it's happening already. Mr. Dewar said that that outreach was happening at the beginning with his comments. So there we go. It's accomplished. All right. Now the 18s. Is there something out of the 18s that you would like to bring forward? Mr. Buikema.
18.6.
Anyone else? Just call them out.
18-1.
Lost all the 18s. I don't have them anymore. There we go. 18-1, 18-6. Not seeing any others. Councilor Ray, you're up first.
Yeah, I get what the district of Saanich is doing, but I know it's just for information, but this is, in my opinion, and I don't want to sound like I'm running for MLA, but it's bad governance to put targets onto communities and expect them to be held to it when housing is built by the private sector, generally speaking, and they're putting targets on for the private sector. And I think what Saanich is doing here is saying, hey, we'll try and meet these targets, but we need some money for the supports. You know, if we were going to talk about it, I would think I don't want to see any housing project or targets mandated to us. I don't think it's the right approach. You know, it's so many things that the provincial government has kind of put forward doesn't have a lot of like, okay, we're going to give some housing targets. Well, how busy are the contractors, et cetera, et cetera. And I just, I think that, you know, if this comes up at UBCM, I'll probably speak to that as well. But sorry, it's just a little bit of a rant, but it's something that may come our way. And I want to be prepared to actually fight it if it comes to our community.
Councilor Ray, any other comments? Just because I feel like doing a counterpoint, I think, you know, we saw some of those provincial mandates, perhaps not in a community like ours, because local governments were asking the provincial government for support with housing. And in order to achieve that, they came up with some regulations, particularly in urban areas with the transit-oriented development areas. So some framework was created that would address that, because I think I perhaps not different than Councilor Ray, if I face something when we were being told to do things, because we had to update our bylaws. Are you okay? It's choking. He's still breathing though, so it's okay. I'm going to carry on. You're just trying to stop my counterpoint, aren't you? Yeah. So I think sometimes, you know, we appeal to another order of government to help us with a problem, and they come up with a way to help us with the problem, but we don't like the solution because it's blanket. It comes across the whole province. And again, when I was at FCM, we're hearing the same thing being addressed to the federal government about coming up with solutions to help local governments address the housing shortage. And when you ask for the help, sometimes you get it. And, you know, a provincial government has trouble coming up with the nuance, one community to another, and guaranteed the federal government is going to have trouble coming up with nuance, Newfoundland to British Columbia and all points north. So I think in this case, an urban area is trying to meet those targets and trying to figure out how do we get the support. So I do think there's many perspectives on this. And of course, if it's on the floor at UBCM, we each get to speak what we feel is right. Okay, what was up next was 18.6, Councilor Buikema.
Thank you, Mayor Attrell. Yeah, I just wanted to say that in 18.6, I feel like Dr. Morkel brings up a lot of legitimate concerns. And he closes off his letter saying he would love to hear from both the town and BC Housing. And I guess it's my hope that he'll hear from both entities.
Thanks, Councilor Buikema. I did respond to Dr. Morkel with as an update as best I could, advising him what was happening. And I know that the staff sergeant replied as well, and that BC Housing through their community relations is intending to reply. I'm not sure if they have, and that the people that we know at BC Housing were apprised of this, and there is communication back and forth. So there is some communication happening.
Okay, thanks very much.
Okay, that's last call for the 18s. And if I can have, what is that emotion? What is the motion? This is the motion. I'm not going to read all of it again, but I'm going to move that we move to closed pursuant to section 90 and 92 of the community charter to permit discussions concerning one item under section 91J and two items under section 92B. Is there a seconder? Councillor Bukema? All in favor? Any opposed? And that's carried. Thanks. And we'll just take a couple of minutes if you need them. And just so staff knows, you're free to go. You don't have to sit and wonder what's coming at you next.